Hey folks, MasakoX here, and welcome to another Dragon Ball Daima review. If you've only now started to catch up with this series, now a few episodes have come out, you can check out the pinned comment below for the episode 1 review to catch yourselves up. Okay, I think we can definitely say that there's something suspicious going on with Glorio in this episode. He's holding out on something, and oh yeah, we did get Super Saiyan in this episode for those wanting to know, albeit for 2 seconds, but the sequence itself looked cool. And I think there is a legit concern though from some circles that Daima's pacing is too slow, that it's boring, it's taking forever to get anywhere. But I for one would like to counter that with the assertion that because of this, I actually give a damn about the story. And I understand the characters, with the latest one introduced being Panzy, the final one of the main troupe. The mask, by the way, we saw in episode 4 literally looks like a pansy, which I thought was a cool touch. But that being said, I will admit, she is basically a carbon copy of Bulma, only with no inclination whatsoever to flirt with anyone around them to get their way. She's more straight-laced like that, and it turns out she does have connections. But instead of just being the daughter of the president of a global company, she's the daughter of the third demon world king, Kadan. Oh, actually, considering how wealthy and powerful Dr. Briefs is there really much difference? But instead of Kadan being the uncivilized mafia boss that Glorio claims him to be, he's more of a benevolent king who only kills people who commit crimes and the like, instead of the expected ilk from the demon world. And of course he loves his daughter, and of course he offers Goku her hand in marriage, like a typical fantasy king who dotes on their kids. But in true typical Goku fashion, he just casually mentions that he's married with kids himself. You get the typical, what? And then Shin has to explain everything. And then they go, oh, that makes sense. Oh, Glorio didn't mention that part. And we'll get to that later. What I do like about Daima is that Toriyama is doing his best to show that not everyone who is a demon is a bad person or is evil straight up. Sure, they may look different to you and I, to what we would have expected from traditional demons, or maybe some ilk from the first world, but some of them just want to get on with their lives, their 1,000 years of existence on average, or just to give off a more diplomatic and friendly atmosphere, which is what Panzy reminds her guards, that Kadan wants to be seen as a fair and noble king, instead of the perceived nature of him, as Glorio guessed, of him being a simple leader of a cartel, a thug. Or at least that's what Panzy's trying to portray herself as, the daughter of a mafia boss to look cool and then prove them wrong, or her own misassumption about everything. Now that's all very well and good, but I think the most interesting thing about this episode that this definitely confirmed to me and Have in one short scene that Bulma, the new demon king, nah, he ain't it. He's not going to be the main villain at all, simply because he's not evil enough to torture or force the baby Dende to make a Dragon Ball. In fact, Dende has a nanny, a cot, a mobile, his own room. He's seemingly looked after quite well. Sure, Goma's going to use him one day to make new Dragon Balls for him, which of course is not exactly that nice or selfless, but I didn't see this coming, and it's just like he's adopting Dende and making him his own son. And it does make me think that another one of Goma's henchmen will eventually wind up being the big bad, or maybe it could be his older Namekian foil Neva and him being the main evil guy. After all, the Tamagami Watchmen are an annoyance for Goma, since they've been the cause as to why there has never been a wish made on the Demon World Dragon Balls before now. And it just really wouldn't surprise me that even though Neva basically said, there's nothing I can do, the Tamagamis are too strong, I can't tell them to just give it up. No, of course he can. Yes, of course he can. There will be eventually a scene where Neva will just drop the thing of, oh yeah, I could have just told them to give me the Dragon Ball. And then Goma will just go, why didn't you get them to do that? And Neva will just go, you never asked. And I did ask. I asked you right at the beginning. And I couldn't remember. Oh, you old crafty man, of course you can. Too late now, you die. That's basically what I'm predicting. But hey, if Goma can get his own set with Dende, Neva would no longer be required, and he could either be carted off somewhere to just rot of old age, or Goma could just straight up end him, but no, he's not going to do that. But this one sequence was enough for me to rule out Goma being the main villain of the story. He's there as the comedic foil. He's just the demon version of Pilaf. Although, mind you, based on Pilaf's ears, he's already a demon, so an even more crafty and well-dressed demon, perhaps. Also, isn't it interesting that Goku doesn't call himself Son Goku here, even though honorifics do exist in the demon world, because Panzy is referred to Hime-sama or princess, but Only the royal elite get that privilege. But I doubt that Goku would know that. Maybe it's simply because that since it's not Earth, Goku's maybe a little bit more relaxed perhaps around these parts or something. It was just something that I noticed, what I found intriguing. It's unusual from typical episodes. I've been conditioned to hear in the nearly 25 years I've been watching Dragon Ball to hear Son Goku. But to hear just Goku from the original Japanese dub, it's a little weird. Even the English dub these days uses Son Goku, and I've been conditioned by Kaiser so many times to say Son Goku instead of just Son Goku, which I originally said back in the day. So yeah, Kaiser, thanks for that, for beating that into my head. Not literally, but just through many, many directing sessions. One thing I am liking more and more is how Shin is piecing things together slowly but surely about his original suspicions of Glorio. He basically had right from the start, not through internal monologues or anything like that could slow the pace down even further. You're not going to be getting these situations where Glorio just picks his nose or something and then Shin just goes, oh, the way he's picking his nose. Could that mean that he's actually the bad guy after all? I have been thinking about this for a very long time and you get the idea. No, he's just asking simple questions in passing and you get the odd shot where he just gives a simple stare or side eye. Sure enough, he's being proven right. Since the guy's story is changing all the time in this episode, it's completely different to what Kadan said. Glorio didn't get charged by Kadan to summon Goku or Shin specifically, or somebody strong from the outside world. Glorio came to Kadan and said he could get somebody strong enough to bring Bulma down, and Kadan said that if Bulma were taken down, that he himself might become the king instead and bring peace to the demon realm once and for all. But something tells me that that wasn't the original plan. It's just an ideal dream that Kadan had. That wasn't part of Glorio's idea. I don't think Glorio would even care if it were Kadan or somebody else, just somebody that wasn't Goma. I think one thing's for sure, Glorio doesn't care about peace, just somebody who's not getting in the way. And this changes a lot, and it makes our suspicions from our discussion video earlier in the week all the more likely, in that perhaps this was some kind of plan cooked by Glorio and maybe Dr. Arinsu to take out Goma and install another king who would either be more effective or less troublesome, so that Arinsu can continue her scientitioning. And oh, by the way, speaking of that, Arinsu being a scientist, we are eventually going to be getting a nerd-off between Arinsu and Panzy later on, aren't we? As in, Arinsu builds something we need to break into, and nobody can do it. And then Panzy just rolls up her sleeves and goes, nothing I can't crack. And then Bulma's there too, because, of course. Either way, Glorio's not the same guy that we were shown at the beginning of the story. But I guess we kind of knew that anyway, but it's nice to know that there is more to him that we will discover in time. At least we know that Kadan isn't after power solely and getting someone to do it just to be greedy. He's being enabled by Glorio, who could maybe give him the opportunity, but it's mainly a selfish act of Glorio's. But yeah, he's not being nice, it's for something else, and Kadan's just a convenient foil that he can install in power. Yeah, it's a wish on them Demon World Dragon Balls that Glorio wants, to which even Kadan had no idea was part of the plan until now, because he gives the whole spiel about, you want to fight the Tamagamis? Oh, you're a fool. Yeah, Glorio didn't mention that part either. What did he actually say? Also, we managed to actually see another example of a margin that wasn't like Boo, and that they can be part of the royal elite. This being the rather apathetic Hybists who would rather be doing something else, what they want to do, instead of doing other things for other people, and comments how annoying it is to do so. Which is kind of like what Mr. Boo's like in a way, that they're quite self-centered, but otherwise not hostile, but they'd rather be doing their own thing rather than doing something else, or in the case of Boo, he would just like to eat and sleep. Hybis doesn't really want to do things for other people, but they will do it, albeit with not that good a grace, and just go, oh, okay, fine. But they are useful in having seemingly more freedom to travel to the outside world than typical demons. They can just conjure up pin numbers and they have maps to the outside world. So that's the ticket in getting Piccolo, Bulma, and Vegeta over into the demon world in the next few days. Good. They'll have time to pick out the mess left in the wilderness after Panzy seemingly overloaded the plane, and the thing that she expected to happen would happen, in that her machine wizardry would be required, and that's exactly why she needs to tag along. And I really want to see next week's episode to see the full context of Shin's pout right here. oh, that's priceless. But what I really am liking right now is that Goku has complete trust in Panzy. Sure, that's to be expected. Goku basically trusts everybody until the last minute if they suddenly turn. But there is a really good understanding that he probably sees completely in Panzy what he saw in Bulma when she was just a teen when they first met. So you're just getting all of these parallels from the original Dragon Ball, and I'm really liking that, and that Panzy actually is appreciative of somebody really valuing her mechanical skills and her understanding of technology, which apparently in the demon world seems to be rather unorthodox, because supposedly every single person in the margin world knows exactly one spell, and she does, but she's not very good at it. But she's not that bothered about it. She'd rather be into technology and making weaponry and making other things, and that is seemingly frowned upon and makes her out to be a little bit weird. But Goku, no. He thinks it's cool, and even though she's not really good at doing spells, he's still going, wow, that's really cool. And even though I think he's just being simplistic and is easily impressed, because come on, he can shoot kamehamehas out of his hand. He's still being nice, and Panzy, yeah, Goku does that. He brings out the best in people, even if they're trying to kill him. And I also like the fact that the plot's gotten a little bit more nuanced than in the first 4 episodes, because it's been my personal belief that all that we've seen in the trailers thus far, or pretty much everything, like maybe 95 to 97% of the trailers and previews, have been from the first 4 episodes. Those are the things to understand what we were getting ourselves into. From now on, everything after this episode is basically going to be completely brand new, or stuff we've barely seen in the last month or something before Daima came out. So we're going to be getting into a fresh part of the story, and now that we've seen that Goku is capable of going into Super Saiyan, the action will start to increase. So I can understand why people are a little bit frustrated or wanting to know when we're going to get to the more action-oriented side of the actual story. But the point is that we need to understand the world itself and actually care about the consequences and understand that, again, the demon world's not necessarily a bad place, or at least some parts aren't. Of course, there are bad demons, but there are also good demons, or just demons who are just not really wanting to care about anything that's going on around them, except whether or not they'll actually get food on the table and they can actually go to their job and that they actually have coins. But I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly where this is going to go and to see how Vegeta handles all of this, as well as Piccolo, because that's another thing. This is something that we kind of got in Z when Piccolo went to Namek for the first time to really understand his heritage. Now he's going to be coming to the demon world. He's going to understand it even more. And I'm now actually starting to think, this is a bit of a tinfoil hat sort of thing, but I don't have any tinfoil on me. Could we get a situation where Neva, in a last-minute fit of pique, or maybe a sense of redemption, fuses with Piccolo, perhaps? I mean, granted, this might be a major retcon of sorts, but considering how much love that Piccolo's getting, and especially from Toriyama in his later years, could we eventually see some kind of understanding, or maybe Piccolo himself is enough to maybe make Neva change his ways or disable the Tamagamis, which is where we actually understand the Tamagamis are actually more able to be compliant under Neva than we previously thought, and then Goma feels absolutely betrayed or something like that. But then Neva, oh, that wily old fox. You see, I'm getting a lot of ideas right now, and I'm really liking this. And this is what I like about Daima. I'm actually caring enough about the story to come up with some basic ideas and theories, and my mind's buzzing, as is Habs. And what I do like simply is because Super Saiyan is being used more creatively. Instead of just transforming into it just for the sake of fan service and be done with it within a few seconds, simply, no. Goku goes into Super Saiyan and just pushes people away. He uses it as a barrier, sort of like, instead of the typical just like pushing energy out, he then just transforms into Super Saiyan. The shockwave of the aura is enough to get all of the mooks off of him. And I bet he didn't even know that he could do that. It just happened, and it's all part of the acclimatization of his kid body. Now he can actually go Super Saiyan, which will help a lot. And it's maybe him also getting used to the air being a lot denser than it is in the real world or in the outside world. So that is something really cool. That it's not just a simple thing of, oh, I can transform now. It's just he's able to do so without even realizing it. So again, it's progression without having to just state it out to the world. So again, just subtle storytelling. I'm loving this. And also, we're going to be getting a friggin' Minotaur boss. That in of itself is cool. Oh, and yeah, and as for Glorio, yeah, he's either going to end up betraying the group, or Shin will insist on him spelling the whole truth out to them all before they continue to travel with him. There'll eventually be a situation where Shin goes, okay, enough of this. Tell us the truth, Glorio, or we're going to abandon you, or you're not going to get the wish on the Dragon Balls, because Goku is stronger than him, and there are examples, especially in the next episode, of Glorio and Goku sparring, and maybe that might be a situation, perhaps, where Glorio reveals a bit more information, because Goku's able to beat him, and he realizes that, oh, I can't outpower this kid. oh well, I better fess up. And then, yeah, there you go. And then Kadan, yeah, he's going to end up as the new Demon King at the end of all of this. That means Goku's got a friend in the Demon Realm, so everywhere they go, and Beerus is just eventually just going to get up and say, oh, this is the Demon World. I say, it's you, Kadan. I didn't really expect you. Yes, Goku got me on board with this job. That Son Goku, he's really, really nice. He's a really good friend. And then Beerus is like, oh goodness, this Goku gets everywhere, doesn't he? I know, this is just a bit of a headcanon or something like that, but it just made me think. But anyway, I'm really liking this episode. I know that it's a little bit slow, but I don't care about that. And if you do care about that, maybe just put it down in the comments. But there is going to be an endpoint, and if you watch this all in quick succession, I think it'll be a lot more satisfying. And that's exactly something we need to remember with these episode reviews. Don't jump to full conclusions until you can watch episode by episode by episode, which is exactly what you can do, as well as tagging along with my reviews by checking out the playlist in the pinned comment, or up top, or maybe right here.